Welcome to Top Employers Inspire. 3 days of expertly curated content for you to gain as many insights as possible on the world of work. At Top Employers Institute, we are determined to make a positive impact on the world of work. And to do so, we also love sharing knowledge, because eventually that is what makes us innovate, that is what makes us challenge ourselves, that is what makes a top employer. So also by sharing these insights, we make up for quite an interesting schedule. We just wrapped up the first session of Top Employers Inspire, which was about the human-centric organization. And just to name a few what you can expect during Top Employers Inspire, you can learn from certified top employers like Nestlé China on their mentor networks. We have Amgen on how flexibility can reinforce the organizational culture. And later on, we also have Coca-Cola explaining how they deliver the personalized digital employee experience. My personal suggestion would be to register for multiple sessions. First of all, you'll be first in line to also receive the recording. You don't have to attend all of them. Just make sure that you have access to the video as well. Get out your notebooks, because after all, having attended multiple sessions, this is where you also max out the amount of insights and learnings you can get from Top Employers Inspire. But I'm definitely going to stop talking, because connecting live here from Amsterdam, we are streaming also from our APAC region, where we have SAP about designing people experiences in the changing world of work. So I'm connecting to our regional director in the APAC region, Billy Elliott. Billy, welcome. Good evening. That's it, right? Almost. That's
almost evening.
All right, well, see, we're still at the 10 a.m. clock here. I'm going to hand it over to you for your session. Billy will also handle the Q&A afterwards, and when the session is done, we'll connect to the studio in Amsterdam back again. Billy, enjoy.
Thanks, Wouter. Appreciate the warm introduction as always. Hello and a warm welcome to Employers Inspire, and we are really looking forward to presenting the next session titled Designing People Experiences in the Ever-Changing World of Work. And as Wouter said, my name is Billy Elliott, and I'm proud to serve as the Regional Director for Asia Pacific. And today we are joined by many delegates from all over the world, and we are coming to you live from Singapore and India. Today we're going to learn from 2023 Top Employer India, SAP, and their philosophy, methodology, and the recent programs that they've designed and implemented to meet the evolving expectation of their employees regarding work and the actual workplace itself. And the session is going to delve into the changing nature of work and how SAP is addressing the personal needs of its employees to create a more flexible and engaging work environment to enhance the end-to-end employee experience. So allow me to introduce our main presenter for this webinar, Ms. Rashmi Raghuraja, Senior HR BP Consultant and PMO to the Head of HR in India. And Rashmi is a strong believer in the power of culture and experiences in shaping organizational and people successes. And in her role, she manages transformational talent strategies by interfacing with business and HR functions across regions as well as globally. And based on Rashmi's rather impressive resume, I think it's very fair to say that we have just the right person here today to present this rather prominent HR topic and trend. And a few final webinar logistics to cover before we get started. As Wouter said, you're more than welcome to send your questions or your remarks at any time in the comments section. In fact, I highly encourage this because we want to make it an interactive session. So I'm just waiting for the slide to transition, and there we go. So we are currently seeing an unprecedented level of personalization in the everyday employee experience, and employees are expecting to be treated as internal customers, which has led to employers shifting from people-centric towards person-centric. And as we know, the pandemic had a massive impact on employees, employers, and the overall reflection around the work environment and experience. And employees now better understand what truly matters to them, and employers are choosing inventive ways to win the war for talent. Eventually, only companies who provide a genuine personalized experience will generate the emotional reaction that is necessary to create a high-performance culture, aligning the purpose, the vision, and the values and also to develop new leadership capabilities that the organization desires. And top employers have implemented listening strategies, which triggers conversations with employees, allowing them to choose and shape their own personal experiences. Now, personalization is used most prominently in the evolution of flexible working practices, including remote and hybrid working, in well-being offerings, compensation and benefits initiatives, as well as in careers, onboarding, and leadership development. There we go. So data from our 2023 certification program shows that among the 2,053 companies that we certified in 121 countries globally, there's been a significant increase in formalized remote or hybrid work, as well as the optimization of the employee journey for remote work to ensure a positive impact on the overall employee experience. Now, among the 2,053 organizations that we certified on a global level, 74% of companies ensure their employee journey is optimized for remote work, an increase of 6% since 2022. And 87% of top employers offer a work from home policy, another increase of 6% since 2022. However, there is still a big organizational challenge of making remote and hybrid work experiences personalized, in that only 58% of certified organizations around the world are empowering employees to manage their working hours and location through, to try and reinforce a culture of trust and accountability. And interestingly, in the APAC region, this is the most advanced region in comparison to all the other regions around the world, in that 66% of APAC top employers have actually implemented this particular practice for their people. And I'm pretty sure we'll find that SAP India is definitely one of those organizations. So that concludes my rather short and sweet opening, and I guess it serves as a pretty good bridge to now hand over to Rashmi, who will take us through how SAP India has designed their employee experience in the ever-changing world of work. And I'll chat to you again at the end of the session when I will facilitate the Q&A segment. So please start thinking about your questions. Over to you, Rashmi.
Thanks, Billy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, because I know that there are audience listening in from across the globe. So welcome to my session, and thanks a lot, Billy, for that great introduction for myself and into the topic. Thanks, Top Employer, for having me here. It's my pleasure to introduce this topic, people experience, which is one of the topics that's close to my heart, and as well as that of SAP. Just a quick introduction on the topic in itself, right? What we have seen over the past few years is that the talent has really evolved. The ways of working has evolved, and talent plays a critical key in unlocking a competitive stance for any organization. We saw a rising need of employee expectations, right? For example, they were looking at more of a purposeful organization. They were looking for inspiration. They were looking for inspiring leadership. They were looking for flexibility, belongingness, new ways of rewards. All this kind of, SAP was no different. The employees in SAP was no different. All this kind of made us think, what more can we do for our employees at SAP in India? And hence, we have the people experience as an organization now in SAP. Our main focus is culture. We look at culture from a 360-degree angle, starting through the employee journey life cycle. Before I get into the details of what the people experiences mean, and share with you some of the nuggets that we have experienced in the past 1 year, the kind of programs that we have launched, the kind of best practices that we have come up with, I would like to give you a short overview about what our workforce at SAP in India look like. So SAP in India is the leading R&D and customer success organization for SAP globally, with a huge workforce of around 15K employees spread across 5 major locations. We also have 5 generations of workforce. So we will see from a millennial to Gen Z working in the same team, working together, collaborating, creating an inclusive environment at SAP. Our women in workforce percentage is currently at 34 percentage, and SAP in India is a hub for early talents with the share of workforce coming around 10 percentage. Every year, around 30 to 40% of our new hires are early career talents. Now, all this has kind of led us to think and shape a culture at SAP in India, which has made us a top employer for the fifth consecutive time this year. We were also recognized as the best employer for the LGBTQIA space. We were also recognized as the Fortune's Employers of the Future for our best practices, our programs, and policies. Now, if you look at it, you will know that 15K employees across generations. We hold a brand in the market for being a top employer. How do we sustain this is the question, right? With the changing workforce, with the changing expectations of employees across employee life cycle, um, there are certain spaces like moments that matter, right? From onboarding till retiring, that employees are looking at to have a personalized experience. And there comes the people experience part. We formed the organization of people experience last year with the intent of creating superior HR customer experience. We would want to place employee at the center, give them focused attention in their development, in ensuring that they have a people-centric policies around, programs around, development opportunities. And you know, all the things that I explained earlier with respect to the changing expectations, people looking for inspiration for career development, leadership. We want to have a close look at each of these pillars and design experiences. I'm trying to move on to the next slide. Okay, here we are. So, in a nutshell, what does people experience do? We shape SAP's culture by creating experiences for our employees so that we create an inclusive environment where people can be who they are, right? They don't have to pretend. They don't have to, shed one part of them, leave it at home, and then come to work and pretend to be someone else. How do we create inclusive experiences for our people across the 5 pillars that is mentioned here, right? Having pride in at work, having pride about SAP, having pride about what they do, about their team, finding a sense of purpose in their work and connecting it to the organizational purpose. How do we enable that? Enabling innovation. SAP in India, largest R&D for SAP globally. How do we sustain innovation? We need to ensure that we need to sustain innovation. We need to have that all the programs and platforms and tools available for our employees to come together, to collaborate, to brainstorm, to debate, and to make amazing products for our customers while doing that in an appreciative and respectful environment. So appreciation is again a key pillar to the people experience philosophy. Doing so with care and respect, right? Respect at workplace is again a big topic. It is again a big focus areas for people experience organization at SAP in India. Now, how do we design policies? How do we design programs across these 5 pillars? um, in the next few slides, what I will do is I'll take you through a couple of programs, a couple of initiatives that we have rolled out, starting with how our work has evolved in the past 1 year, where employees were looking at more flexible work schedules. People were looking at how can be how can SAP support us in my current role, at the same time giving me the flexibility to be who I am. So SAP's ways of work is the topic that I want to briefly touch upon. Pledge to Flex is our global commitment to flex work, where our employees can choose a flexible work model based on a trust-based work environment. A lot of organizations have done this. A lot of organizations have implemented it. What we have done differently is that we have taken our employees along, right? So the what we provide as an employer are the 6 areas, right? The new standard of working, inclusive environment, flexible work schedule, state of the art facilities and tools, office designs, health and well being being a priority. We have tested this framework in the past 1.5 years, and what we have found is that 77% of SAP employers, they feel empowered to decide where and when they want to do their job. This is as per our latest SAP Future of Work Trend Report 2023. I want to do a call out of a best practice that we did. How did we implement a flexible work model at SAP in India? We formed a community called Let's Change Ambassadors Community. We realized early on that this is going to be a journey of not just a few months or days or weeks. It's going to take years, maybe a year, year and a half, to get into what the flexible work model that we want to implement. We wanted to take our employees along the journey. We wanted to have a bottom up approach to successfully implement the pledge to flex model in India. In India, we formed a community called as Change Ambassadors Community. This consisted of employees across roles, across career levels, across teams, and across locations. So we had a diverse set of around 100 employees coming together, where we used to enable them and coach and guide what is coming up in terms of Pledge to Flex in India and how you can support us. So these colleagues with our sounding board, a two-way sounding board, right? What we want to implement, they will ensure that the message is reached to their respective teams, to their respective businesses. At the same time, they will collect feedback, a continuous feedback on what's working on the ground, right? This is just a model, it has to work on the ground. They used to continuously gather feedback from all the stakeholders, from their teams, the managers, the leadership, from the cross teams on what's working, what's not working, what can be done better. And they used to come together, report it back to the core team. Now, this model really worked. Why? Because we saw that the time that people took to the number of queries were less, the understanding of what the model holds were more, and when peer to peer they communicate, there is a little bit more trust, right? We trust our peers more than higher ups coming and telling us that this is going to be a model. So this is the Change Ambassador community worked really well. This is one of the best practices that we have, which makes us stand out in the industry for a future of work model. Now, coming to trust, while we call people back into office, there were certain apprehensions, right? How is it going to be? Do I go back to pre-COVID, or this is going to be entirely new way of work? How is my work to be impacted? What about rewards and recognition? Will people see me, or will people not see me? Because I come on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, for example. How do I ensure that the visibility is created? So there were a lot of kind of what we say as the water cooler conversations that were happening when we successfully implemented the Pledge to Flex, the hybrid work model in India. Now, this made us think about, okay, we need to create a culture of transparency here, right? Um, while we implemented new model, it is not enough that we sit in our own cabins and spaces and kind of um, uh, push through some of the models to the employees. How do we create a culture of transparency and trust? With that, we launched recently a program called as People Unplugged. I'm trying to move to the next slide. Yes. The intent of People Unplugged was to give our employees a transparency of the question why, right? We wanted to create a culture of transparency. We wanted to have authentic conversations with leaders, with employees, with all employee community, right? With the leaders, with head of HR. We wanted to understand why something is done. Give a platform to ask questions, give a platform to debate, a platform to ideate, collect feedback. So we brought about 6 candid conversations and sensitive discussions. There were topics across performance management. There were topics across topics such as health and well-being, um, on hiring, right? So we hosted 6 such sessions, and we have touch base around 4K plus employees in India. This was well received. I think one of the best practices that we have currently is the People Unplugged conversation model, which is hosted by the head of HR, wherein we bring in different leaders, we bring in employees to have a conversation. This is a program of scale, if I may call so, because every month we have one such conversation, and all employees, it is open for all employees to come and attend that session and have that conversation. While we talked about culture of a flexible work model, culture of transparency, one other key pillar in people experience is around development. If you remember the innovation piece of people experience, right? How do we continuously evolve as per the needs of our employees? We noticed that employees were when they were back in the new working model, one of the things that we heard is that people are lost, right? Because I'm coming back after 2 years. I know these are the programs, these are the platforms, these are the tools available for us at SAP, but I really don't know how to find that particular information. We conducted a series of brainstorming sessions with our employees last year across employee groups, across roles and functions, on how we can, what can we do centrally to help our employees to have a stronger sense of belongingness in their work, right? What we did was we conducted brainstorming sessions with our employees to understand what's missing, what's working well, and what can be done better. One of the key themes that evolved out of the discussions were, yeah, so they were not able to they were kind of lost in terms of deciding the right career path, although there is a guidance from their respective managers. They would want to own their career a little bit more, right? They wanted to see inspiring figures, relatable figures, so that they can be inspired to take a step that they wouldn't have thought about in their careers. So there was a larger need for role modeling. There was a larger need for networking. People were just getting back to office on a full scale model, in a hybrid model. So they wanted to network outside of their teams. They wanted to connect with experts. They wanted to get mentorships. They wanted to understand and connect with people outside of their teams and outside of the business area. So there was a larger need to have a sense of community, a sense of belongingness. When we collected this as part of our initial brainstorming sessions, when we collected what the problem is, we wanted to kind of now get into a solutioning mode, right? What can we do, or how can we enable, how can we have this problem solved? So we got into a design thinking workshop with our employee groups across career levels and roles. We identified these common themes and we gave them the you know we asked them the question back, right? If you were so and so, what would you do? We formed an A team comprising of business and HR together. We worked in a design thinking workshop model. We diagnosed the problem, we discussed and designed a solution, and we slowly delivered a solution. And we ensured that this cycle continues, right? So in HR, we implemented a model, a design thinking model, which most of our development teams in R&D in our labs do. So what came out of it, the what we delivered is we came up with Inspire at SAP, a talk series where employees exchange their career journeys. They share their personal stories. They share, if I go and learn about a new technology, I can kind of register into Inspire at SAP talk series and I can take a session, right? It's a very open conversation, which is run by the employees for the employees. We also have a series of career mentoring across topics. So every month we'll have a focus topic and a mentoring session will be held on that particular topic. And our intent is to keep this in a continuous evolving model. So the project, which is called Career Canvas, is currently launched, and we are hearing great feedback. We want to continue this. We see a lot of footfall in all the sessions, and because it is run by the employees. So we really want to gather the pulse of the employees, and really, as a people experience organization, want to design more such models, more such programs to see what works, what doesn't work for the best interest of our employees. Now, when I come to career, we talked about, managing career development of our employees. What we also saw over the past 1 year is how leadership has evolved, right? The expectation from leadership has evolved. While earlier a leadership or a people leader was majorly looked up as, okay, how can you guide me for my work? And having those career development conversations over the past few months or over the past 1 year since we came into this model, what we are seeing is the expectation of employees from their people leaders have changed completely. They were looking at a role model leader whom they can look up to for thought leadership, whom they can look up to for technical expertise, as well as who can showcase or demonstrate resilience. And hence, we launched the Elixir program. It is a short form for engaging leadership in expertise, impact, and resilience. This is a bouquet of offerings that we have for our people leaders at SAP in India. And it has three offerings, right? One is Lead with Impact, a curriculum designed to inculcate thought leadership in our leaders, taking them through a strategy, taking them through our product lines, taking them through what's happening outside in the industry, and how they can kind of inculcate thought leadership in their teams, in their teams, within their network, larger network, as well as outside. How can they represent SAP better? The second pillar is a lead with expertise, which is going to be a technical a learning journey for our experts, designed by our experts for our people managers, where they can go through technical topics, take up learning journeys and assessments based on learning journeys. The third one is a very focused coaching program for our people manager community. We saw a lot happening in the past during COVID times, right? And although they have been able to support our employees well, what took a little bit of backseat was on their own development. So we launched the Lead with Resilience for new managers who took up the role in the past 2 years to have a one-on-one coaching. This is kind of an executive coaching program where people managers will have a one-on-one access to a coach internally. And this coaching, as you know, is a personal journey, right? So they will kind of come up with the areas of development and what they can do, the interventions that they can bring in through the coaching journey. As you can see, all of our programs, including Elixir, are designed by our employees in a co-model or a co-partnership with HR. And Elixir is designed for people managers by a group of technical experts because they know the topic the best. And all the sessions are delivered internally by the subject matter experts as well as coaches. So we talked about culture, we talked about transparency, we talked about managing career development as well as managing leadership in the new ways of working. So the soul of people experience at SAP, I just want to bring it all together, right? Why we have people experience at SAP is to have focused, is to provide focused experiences for our employees and provide them with the best in class HR customer experience. We have sharpened our focus on our offerings. We go into a target level audience. We go into look at an employee group, be it an early talent group, be it a group of women employees, or it can be a group of leaders, and really create targeted programs, right? So personalization is one aspect that we are really looking at, as well as scale, right? For example, Career Canvas is a program of scale. What we have realized over the course of months is that um, we cannot design a program without really involving our end user, which is our employees. So we have a co-ownership model with the business teams All of our programs are a program of partnership with the employee group and HR. And in this way, we can really get continuous feedback and inculcate our feedback into our programs and continuously evolve and develop and make it better for our employees. Now, a lot of people ask me, is it people experience or is it people engagement? I would like to, I just read it somewhere recently as well, that people experience is what you create, and engagement is just an outcome of all the programs. How people have really engaged, how people have really experienced. So the engagement is really an outcome of all these programs. So this is again what I strongly believe in, as well as what SAP believes in. With that, I want to end it with a nice a quote that I recently read. This was by Jacob Morgan. You might already know. He's a thought leader, and he's author of the Employee Experience Advantage book. He says that in a world where money is no longer the primary motivating factor for employees, focusing on employee experience is the most promising competitive advantage that organizations can create. I truly believe in this. And our organization, People Experience at SAP, was exactly designed for this reason and for the right reasons. And so far, we have seen great results in terms of being closer to our employees, um, being knowing their problems, solutioning along with them, and this has really worked out for us. And I hope you will also have some nuggets of takeaway from what I have just presented. Uh, that's all from my side. Billy, over to you. Do we have any questions on the chat? We can take it up.
Rashmi, we certainly do. But firstly, just want to thank you for the brilliant presentation that you've just shared with us. And we all know that SAP is a world-class employer, but it's also good to get a nice bit of insight into some of the world-class practices that you have in your organization. And this is why we are proud to call you a certified top employer for 5 years in India. So thank you very much for the great content that you have presented.
My pleasure.
Cool. We do have a couple of questions that have come in. The first one is from Ilona. She says, "Good morning. Thank you for your enlightening presentation." Thank you. We appreciate the feedback. And may I ask if legislation in India allows flexible remote working for your employees, and how is this monitored and measured by HR?
Well, thanks, Billy, for that, and thanks, Elena, for bringing that topic to the forefront, because um, this is generally one topic that organizations shy away from discussing, right? Um, we do have legislations, and hence SAP doesn't have a 100% remote working model. This is precisely because in India, the labor law legislations and compliance doesn't support such a work model yet. So our stance on the future of work model is a hybrid work model, right? How does HR monitor? We enable our managers. We have a successful manager community at SAP in India, which is called as a bridge community. They are kind of the bridge between HR and the employees, and most of our enablement, because if you look at the employee base 15K, it is impossible for a few set of HRs sitting and monitoring what's happening, right? So a lot of accountability and ownership is taken by the manager community. So as HR, we work very closely with the manager community, enabling them, giving them all the tools and processes available for ensuring that their teams take the decision. So even the flexible work model is taken at the team level. The teams get into a pledge to flex workshop along with their manager, wherein they come into a consensus saying that our customers need this many hours, our customers need you to be in office on these many days, and this is the day that we have to come together for maybe scrum models, right? Scrum meetings, review meeting, retrospective meeting. So the ownership is taken by managers at the team level, and they decide the work model. Our compliance, our legislation doesn't yet support 100% remote working, and hence SAP also supports only hybrid work model. And legislation is one part. We also believe in the power of collaboration. SAP labs in India being the R&D hub, we we believe in the power of coming together. We believe in the power of collaboration, communication, innovation, and the togetherness, right? When people come together, brainstorm, debate, and discuss, that's when innovation happens. So we really believe in the power of innovation and collaboration, and hence the work model is a hybrid work model.
And without, oh, well, I hope this doesn't come across as a contentious question, but are organizations in India pushing for that legislative change?
Um, well, that really depends on the kind of business that organization is in, right? For example, startups generally, right, because they need a little bit more flexibility. They're just getting started, so they don't want to spend a lot on their infrastructure and
Mm,
facilities. So they would prefer 100% remote work model. So such organizations might push for legislative change, but organizations such an R&D organization where we really thrive on innovation and collaboration, such organizations still prefers a hybrid work model. That doesn't mean that there is no flexibility. There is absolutely flexibility in terms of the teams can decide when they want to come together, what time they want to come together, and how they want to work together. That flexibility is definitely left to the
yeah, I
teams.
suppose it would be the same for a manufacturing organization, right? They wouldn't be able to have full flexibility because they need people there. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. They were even working during COVID time. So,
exactly.
yeah.
Cool. Okay, we've got another question. It's from Cecilia. She says the Inspire at SAP Talk series, is it live discussions or podcasts that are distributed to your workforce? Good question.
Yeah, thanks, Cecilia, for that question. It is a live discussion. So I remember the first time when I was moderating that discussion, we kicked off with a topic, and there were around 1,000 plus participants joining into the call. I had very less work to do as a moderator. People just started talking to each other, saying that, hey, but I have heard this. This is something that I have gone through. So, from being a moderator conversation, it has really become a community, a place that 1 hour people can come in, listen to their peer, have that conversation with their peer. If you want to connect with the peer at later point in time on one topic that you picked up during the conversation, you can do that as
Mm.
well. So it is a live, it's a live
I
conversation.
suppose it also leads to a more authentic engagement, right? Whereas if it's a
Absolutely.
recording, you're not going to get that level of
Yeah,
engagement and
yeah,
authenticity. Okay, lovely.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Just like what we are having now. So
Exactly. Okay, I've got. I think we've got time for one more question, and it's another goodie. And the question
mhm.
reads: with your career canvas, what tools do you provide employees to proactively assess their current skill set and identify areas for improvement or development in order to advance their careers?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Billy, for the question. I did not get the name of the person who asked the question, um, but nevertheless, that's fine. So thanks for that question. And that's a great question. Why? Because it helps me to explain what Career Canvas is once more. Career Canvas is a program that we have come up with to give, it's a one-stop shop, if I may call so, right, for our employees to refer to all the available tools and programs, platforms available at SAP. So it is a program that really preaches and enables and engages with employees on their career development, on mentoring. So if you ask me the tools, internally we have all the tools. For example, for we have a tool on skilling, where employees can enter their skills and proficiency against each skills, and this is kind of used for to design the learning
Mm,
journeys. That tool is available. We have a successful program called as fellowships, where employees can go out of their current team, be part of another team for a short time of maybe 3 months or 6 months, and kind of get experience in that space and come back to their teams after getting that experience, bring back the learnings to their teams. So we have all the tools already available. We have partnership with a lot of learning learning platforms, and so employees can access all the learnings free of cost. So all the tools are available for employees. The job of the Career Canvas project is to kind of talk more about it, to market about what are the different platforms, give them real time, real life stories, give them learnings, share experiences. So that's a kind of platform career canvases. Other than that, the tools are already available for employees at SAP.
Yeah, and I know, having sort of been exposed to a number of SAP's world-class practices, I think you guys have really
Yeah.
struck a beautiful balance between having all the online, L&D tools, but you also allow for
Mhm.
the in-person mentorship and career development
Absolutely.
opportunities. So yeah, you guys have struck a lovely balance in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
Awesome. Rashmi, unfortunately, we have run out of time. I would love to continue this discussion, and maybe we can do so at another time. So that does bring this webinar to an end, and I'd like to thank all the delegates who obviously joined. We really, really appreciate your participation, and we hope that you enjoyed our session and derived good value from it. And based on the content that that Rashmi has presented today, I think we all have a wonderful source of inspiration to think about how we could further improve the employee experience in this ever-changing world of work. And I would like to give a big thanks of appreciation to Rashmi on behalf of us all. We really appreciate your time and willingness to share with the wider global HR community. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Billy. Thanks, everyone, for joining.
Excellent. So please enjoy the other fantastic sessions that we have scheduled over the next 3 days, which will contain a treasure trove of HR information. And with that, I now would like to hand back to Wouter at our main studio in the Netherlands, Amsterdam. Over to you, Wouter.
Thank you, Billy. Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you also the local team in Singapore, Sadiq. A good job making the moderation a fluent job as well. It's impressive how SAP continues, just like so many other certified top employers, continue to be the front runner in the world of work. Wrapping this one up, we've got the next session of Top Employers Inspire lined up already in about 70 minutes, just looking at the clock over there. We have TransUnion, about TransUnion Africa, about their approach to a hybrid remote personalized employee experience. And later on in the day, we're connecting live to the United States. That's likely when you in the APAC, Asia Pacific region will be fast asleep. But if you're experiencing insomnia, then connect live to Top Employers Inspire, because we've got the United States, and we've got our regional director, Trevor Bogan, and who meets with NTT Data's VP of People and Organization, Kim Curley, for a talk about fostering a strong culture in a global organization. It's only session number 2 of Top Employers Inspire, and only day number 1. So do yourself a learning favor and register for some more sessions, because we're sharing insights for a better world of work, and make sure you benefit as much value and learning from all the other sessions. Hope to see you in the other sessions of Top Employer Inspire.